This week's passage is Psalm 37, and it encourages us to trust that justice will come. Even when it seems like the wicked are going to prosper, it talks a lot about the wicked. It teaches us that our job is to wait patiently on the Lord. And last week we talked about trust strengthening your faith in Psalm 13, I believe. And so when trust strengthens your faith, then that builds on trusting God that justice will come. And it's really hard, especially those of us as moms, to not want to try to fix everything. So this is one that I'm going to need. I was just talking with a friend who's dealing with something, big life change right now, that she's really like, what are we going to do? I think all of us have something in our life where we're like, well, this isn't fair. What am I supposed to do with this? And so this lesson, I hope, encourages you today. So obviously, we're using the simple method. And the first thing we're going to do is study, which means we're going to read the passage and highlight anything that stands out to us as we go. So grab a highlighter. I'm just going to pick my yellow highlighter and I'll zoom in so you can see a little better. Go. Psalm 37. What I'm going to do is, I've already read this, so I know what I'm going to highlight, but I'm going to highlight some actions that we can take as we're reading through this. So God tells us some things, don't do this when it comes to this injustice with the wickedness. So I'm going to highlight that. So here we go. Psalm 37, do not fret because of those who are evil. So do not fret or be envious of those who do wrong or be envious. For like the grass, they will soon wither, like green plants, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord. So there's a lot right now. And he will give you the desires of your heart. Verse 5 says, commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him and he will do this. So I got trust in him. He will make your righteous rewards shine like the dawn, your vindication like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord, wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. For those who are evil will be destroyed, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found. But the meek will inherit the land and enjoy peace and prosperity. The wicked plot against the righteous and gnash their teeth at them, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. The wicked draw the sword and bend the bow to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose ways are upright. But their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. For the power of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster they will not wither, in days of famine they will enjoy plenty. But the wicked will perish, though the Lord's enemies are like flowers of the field. They will be consumed, they will go up in smoke. So I hadn't seen a lot since this top section of some action things, ways that we can take action, because, you know, as I said, we want to figure out how to fix this stuff. We want to know what to do. So I've highlighted some things God's told us we can do. But another thing I've noticed is there's a lot talking about what's going to happen to the wicked. So before I turn the page, I'm going to kind of go through real quick in a different color, highlight things that happen to the wicked. Like the wicked will be no more. Evil will be destroyed. They will soon wither. They will soon die away. So back up here, we've got verse 2 says they will soon wither, they will soon die away. And then I found in verse 9, evil will be destroyed. In verse 10, the wicked will be no more. The Lord laughs at the wicked. He knows their day is coming, is verse 13. The wicked draw their sword, bend the bow, bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose ways are upright. Their swords will pierce their own hearts. This is verse 15. Their bows will be broken. The power of the wicked will be broken is verse 17. The blameless spend the days of their death. The wicked will perish, verse 20. They will be consumed. They will go up in smoke. That's also verse 20. So right here, I'm kind of seeing what is God going to do about the wicked? And these are all the things he says he's going to do. So we've got to trust him that he's got a plan. He's going to take care of it, but it's not our job. And right here, this is what we can do. This is what our job is. Okay, so I'm going to turn the page to finish in verse 21. The wicked borrow and do not repay. The righteous give generously. So I'm going to highlight that's something we could do is give generously. Those the Lord blesses will inherit the land, and those he curses will be destroyed. So once again, I'm just using those colors to track what's going to happen to the wicked and what we can do. The Lord makes firm the steps of the ones who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand. I was young and now I'm old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken, or their children begging bread. They are always generous and lend freely. Their children will be a blessing. Turn from evil and do good, and then you will dwell in the land forever. For the Lord loves the just and will not forsake his faithful ones. Wrongdoers will be completely destroyed. The offspring of the wicked will perish. The righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever. The mouths of the righteous utter wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. The law of God is in their lips. Their feet do not slip. The wicked lie in wait for the righteous, intent on putting them to death, but the Lord will not leave them in the power of the wicked, or let them be condemned when brought to trial. Hope in the Lord and keep his way. He will exalt you to inherit the land. When the wicked are destroyed, you will see it. I have seen a wicked and ruthless man flourishing like a luxuriant native tree, but he soon passed away and was no more. Though I looked for him, he could not be found. Passed away and was no more. Consider the blameless, observe the upright. A future awaits those who seek peace. All sinners will be destroyed. There will be no future for the wicked. The salvation of the righteous comes from the Lord. He is their stronghold in times of trouble. The Lord helps them and delivers them. He delivers them from the wicked and saves them because they take refuge in him. Okay, there's a lot there. And we could probably color code 7 other topics in that, and I'm trying to keep it simple for you. So if you see something else that you were like, oh, I see this theme, I wanted a different color, or there's something big that I missed that you highlighted, feel free to write that in the comments or do your own thing in your book as well. Okay, so the next thing is illustrate. And this is where we add the symbols and doodles to help us get a visual of what we're reading so we can better follow this storyline. One simple thing I do is anytime I see the word love or heart, I always draw something on that. So let me grab this right here. And then another thing I do is like when it says do or do not, if it says do not, I do one of those signs. Oh, what's it called? The cross through, like the do not signs. So the first verse I saw do not. I see, let's see. The desires of your heart, verse 4. The rewards shine like the dawn in verse 6. We'll draw a little sun. Your vindication like the noonday sun, same thing right next to that. Do not fret, which is the same thing he said up here. Do not fret, and fret means worry. Refrain from anger, turn from wrath. Do not fret, again in verse 8. Hope in the Lord will inherit the land. So I'm going to draw some land. This is like my go-to, is a mountain with a little stream and a valley. Okay, let's see. You will enjoy peace and prosperity. I'm going to draw a peace sign on the peace right there. The wicked draw the sword and bend the bow. to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose ways are upright, but their swords will pierce their own hearts. So I'm going to draw a little goofy little sword right there in a heart. Their swords will pierce their own hearts. Their bows will be broken. Better the little that the righteous have than the wealth of many wicked. The power of the wicked will be broken. Okay, this other one, verse 20, says, this is another visual I noticed. The wicked will perish, though the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field. They will be consumed. They will go up in smoke. So I'm going to draw some flowers. And you know me, we're just going to do these doodles real quick. Take the pressure off yourself to be an artist. This isn't going in a museum. So I'm drawing, and it's hard to tell what I'm drawing, so I'm going to add some colors. So I've drawn some flowers, and there's smoke around it from the fire. And once again, if this doesn't add anything for you, you can skip this step. This helps me a lot organize my thoughts, because the reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to visualize what I'm studying. And by visualizing it, I can kind of organize it in my brain to figure out what can I get out of this context, or what is God trying to teach me, or what historically is happening, or what's the analogy he's using, what is he referring to, so that I can take notes on it. So this step is really important to me because it helps me. It's that process of organizing it in my mind to make it into something that I can study and retain. So if this isn't doing anything for you, you could totally skip it. But I just want to let you know, I'm not doing this because I'm like, oh, let's just doodle in our Bible. It's actually part of my creative process to make sense of what I'm reading. So I'm going to put in this little thing right here. We got some fire happening on these cute little flowers. And we haven't really used colored pencils in my videos, so that's kind of fun to mix it up a little bit, I think. Now I gotta add some blue to this. Just for fun. Why not? Okay, so there's my flowers that are burning up in the field. Let's turn to the next page. The wicked borrow and do not repay. I'm in verse 21. The righteous give generously. The Lord blesses. Those the Lord blesses, he will inherit the land. So we're talking about the land again. Those he curses, he will destroy. So you can keep drawing that, but I've already drawn it. So right here, it talks a lot about money. So I'm going to draw some money right there. He makes firm the steps, the ones who delight in him. He may stumble, he will not fall. I'm going to draw, some little footprints, and you can highlight or circle what you're doodling. It doesn't matter. Just do your thing. I was young, now I'm old. Children will be a blessing. I'm just looking for keywords that I could doodle. So the mouths in verse 30 of the righteous utter wisdom, and their tongues speak what is just. So I'm going to just do a heart. You could do like a peace sign or a cross or whatever. Whoop, you can't see that. Hope in the Lord and keep his way. He will exalt you to inherit the Lord. I'm just going to do this. All right. Future awaits those who will seek peace. I'm going to do another little peace sign there in verse 37. And they take refuge in him. I'm going to draw a little house right there. Okay. So that's kind of my way of taking notes real quick. I would love to hear if this is a step that you enjoy, or it's more of a, okay, let's get on with it, I don't like to doodle type step. I'm actually looking into making a course to help you guys through this, to be able to take notes on your own in a way that makes sense. And I'd love to just get your insight on, would you love to know how to doodle more stuff, or you'd rather know other things? So I could do a whole big section on like, let's just learn how to doodle things, and I could show that to you if you're interested. But that's one of the sections I would love to teach if people are interested. And if you don't, that's totally fine. I've got lots of people that are like, I like your stuff because I can't draw and I don't want to. So that's totally fine too. Okay, so the next section is M for map. And this is where we take all this information that's in our brain and organize it better so that we can retain it. So what I kind of want to do is go back through those do's and don'ts and make a T-chart, and we're just going to list them out. So we're not rereading everything. We're not doing a whole new step. We're just taking, instead of highlighting it and drawing a doodle, we're putting it in a group of do's and don'ts. And so this part you could call, it's do's and don'ts, not like rules. It's more of, here's some action you can take. Things, so I'm going to name it things to do when waiting on God to handle injustice. Or you could just do trust, do's and don't, whatever you want to name it. So I'm going to write do, I'm going to write don't, and then I'm going to make it into this little chart, which I'm actually going to add some color. Just for fun. Okay, so let's just go through. Don't fret. We've seen that one a bunch. And they said that 3 times. So I'm going to make a note of that. It's important. If he wrote it 3 times in like 8 verses, it's mentioned 3 times. He really doesn't want you to fret. He does not want you to worry. I have an entire study I created on do not fear. It's a fear and anxiety workbook, just because this concept is in the Bible so much. And God obviously wants us not to fear. He wants us not to worry. And so many of us do. So hand up for that one for sure. So just remember, when you're worrying, the first thing he says is, don't worry, I've got this. So the next thing is, don't be envious. You could also write, don't envy. Trust in the Lord is something he said to do. I'm just going through the verses. I'm looking at the yellow highlighting stuff. Do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. So he wants you to enjoy the blessings that you have. So if you're dwelling in the land, you're enjoying safe pasture. You're enjoying your blessings. You're going to take delight. And that's just verse 1 through 4. I already have all this stuff. Okay, let's keep going. Verse 5, commit your ways to the Lord. And if you're getting crowded like I am, or writing too big like I am, I do these little bullet points, helps me too. Trust in him. We've already written that. Be still before the Lord. Do be patient. Let's see. It says, do not fret. Refrain from anger. So I'm going to write, don't be angry. Don't be wrathful. Refrain from anger, turn from wrath, do not fret. Hope in the Lord. Okay, anything else I had written over here? Yep. Okay. There, I'm sure I've missed some. Did you see any more that you want to add? I didn't flip the page. Turn from evil and do good. Speak what is just. Hope in the Lord. Observe the upright. There's so much on the next page. We could make this list go on forever. Okay, so continue to add to that from the other side, but I'm going to move on, since I'm going a little long, to the next step, which is personalize. So we're going to reflect on how the passage applies to our lives. Oh wait, there's one big thing I forgot, is I wanted to do a bubble map of what the things that say the Lord will. So the Lord, we've got... Is it the next page where I found the Lord's will? Oh, it's just the wicked one. Okay. So the wicked, just as reminders of he will take care of these injustices. You could do a bubble map of things that the Lord will do to the wicked. And there's a lot we could write, but I'm just going to do what fits on this page. So you do what fits on your page. Okay, will soon wither, will die away, be destroyed. And all I'm doing is going through the orange highlights now instead of the yellow highlights. Their day is coming. Will be consumed. There's even more on the other side if you need more ideas. Did I say they'll be destroyed? Because it says 1, 2, 3, 4 more times it will be destroyed. They'll be destroyed, yes. So that's another thing. It's like, remember this. They're not going to win. They're going to be destroyed. And there will be no future for the wicked. They have no future. So this chart, I'm going to make a title for it, and it's going to be a reminder for me when I flip to this passage. The Lord's justice will prevail. So we don't need to figure out how are we going to get justice, because we can trust that God's justice will prevail. And one of those ways that we think about that is in the step link, which I'll pause for a second and let's talk about personalize. But in link, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we know his justice will prevail. So I'm going to leave these notes out here for a sec while I kind of talk you through the personalized step. So the personalized step is where we decide, all right, what is God trying to teach me through this passage? Or what are some practical ways I can use this to grow spiritually? What does this have to do with me? And I've talked about this, how this is a step that I have way down the line, because I feel like a lot of us were grown up to read the Bible starting here. And so while I think this is absolutely important for us to apply what we're reading, this should not be the only thing that we're doing. So we want to listen to God's instruction. We want to not take it out of context. We want to know all the things before we personalize it, because a lot of times we'll do these studies where it's a topical study, but we're taking somebody's opinion or out of context or whatever. So I'm trying to give you that foundation to be able to personalize it based on all these other things, all these other factors, not just how we're feeling in our emotions, because God wants to be the one to help us. He doesn't want us to have to figure it out ourselves. So the way that we connect to God and we learn about him and get wisdom from him is reading his word. So that's what I love to teach you. But let's personalize it. Reflect on a real life application. I'm sure all of us can think of where we feel an injustice happening, and it could be on a global scale. It could be on a very one-on-one personal scale, whatever it is. But I want you to reflect on trusting God to bring justice in that situation where you've been wronged. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you sit in the corner and you're quiet and you do nothing. But I'm trying to direct your worries, your fears, your plans, all that to your relationship with God. Get your wisdom from God, not worldly wisdom. We know how that ends, is not usually well. So reflect on trusting God in whatever this is. Commit to that. Praying about it, using something in here to pray for it is a great idea. So a prayer template might be verse 7, which is great. Be still before the Lord. Wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So how could I turn that into a prayer? I could say, Lord, help me to be still before you. Help me to wait patiently for you. Help me not to worry when people succeed in their ways. When this is happening right in front of me, they're carrying out their wicked schemes. You could also say, thank you for this time of stillness before you. Thank you for giving me patience. Thank you for helping me understand that the wicked will not prevail in the end. However you want to use these words to pray these words exactly, or rephrase it in a way that is more personal to you. And then another thing is memorizing a verse. That's a way you can personalize it so that you can go to that verse every single time you're going with this issue and you can remind yourself. And a good verse for that is 3 and 4, where it says, trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Take delight in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart. So this verse has to do with the same verse we talked about the wicked and the injustice. He's saying, I know what you desire. You don't even have to tell me. I know what you desire. So what you need to do is trust, do good, enjoy the blessings I've given you, delight in me, commit your ways to him, all these things that we talked about. And so the last thing is, or the second to last thing is linking. And that is where the step where we link is going to be where we take that passage and we dig into the actual historical context of what we're studying to make sure that we're not taking out of context, and we can make connections to other passages in the Bible. So for example, you could look in your footnotes, and your footnotes should be at the bottom of your page. And this has a little A, and right here in Psalm 37, right after the Psalm 37, it has a little A. And so that's referring to, hey, read down here, here's some context of what's happening. And mine says, this psalm is an acrostic poem, the stanzas of which begin with the successive letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And if you've ever read or studied Psalm 119, it says the same thing like that as well. So in Psalm 119, it talks about how it's an acrostic poem of the Hebrew language as well. So this linking to me, I'm thinking, oh, what is the acrostic of the Hebrew alphabet? I want to look into that. What does that mean? So this is something that I might Google or look up in a commentary, kind of find some different sources of what does that mean, and what other insight does this give me? And then that's the only footnote I have on this passage. The other thing is talking about like a word study. So I know we're talking about the word trust this month, but we're also talking about specifically this week the word justice and vengeance and wickedness and things like that. And so that might be something you look up in a concordance. And another verse that came up about justice is Romans 12:19. So I'm gonna flip to that real quick. Romans 12:19, and that says, do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it's written, it is mine to avenge, I will repay, says the Lord. So that's another, connecting the Old Testament to the New Testament, that he's the same God, he's saying the same things, and take encouragement in that. And then another way to get the context is just like we did last week, we were in Psalms as well, is using my notes that I've compiled in my shop and looking at Psalms here to see if there's any other context you can get about what's happening. It will tell you who's writing the Psalms. This is kind of an overview of the themes. So if you want to know what's happening specifically in David's life, you would flip over to Samuel, and then you learn more about the author, King David. And then foreshadowing, thinking about, okay, what else in the Bible kind of talks about this? I can think of a very confusing and popular book that talks about how God will deal with the wicked, and that is the book of Revelation. So you could either read Revelation, you could look at these cheat sheets. In the Revelation, God taking care of the wickedness in the world and taking down Satan and all of the demons and the whole mess was so intense, was so intensely detailed that I made twice the amount of pages on it. So not even by like looking at what the details are in this, just to know that there's this many details of how God is going to make sure that the wicked Satan does not win this battle, is just encouraging to know. He's shared that plan with us. We can hope in that plan. We can trust in that plan. And so that to me is just an encouragement to help me trust a little more when things are not going well. So let's go ahead and wrap up with the last step, that is expand, expand. And for the final step, this is where we're committing to making Bible study a regular part of our lives. So we're committing to keep going. So it could be through personalizing it, it could be through linking it, it could be any of these things we talked about. It could also just be creating a daily study. How can I take this further? How can I continue this? How can I commit to God? How can I expand on what I'm learning? But this week, I want you to surrender areas of injustice to God. I want you to maybe trust to act in His timing by saying a prayer or writing it down or talking with somebody that could encourage you in this. So I am so excited that you guys joined me, and I hope to see you here, same place, same time, and continue to have that conversation with me in the comments. And I hope you'll join me next Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you then.